enter it because of arrows. I believe it's because of arrows. Yeah. That showed you. Right. But now, what's different is you can have blocks to help you out. Whereas previously, you weren't able to do that. And it's much easier to make more cubes now because of this red gun, where you can spread cubes out. It multiplies to create more. It doesn't use how many you have to spread how many you have in your inventory. It multiplies and creates more. Not have a bunch. Okay. Now, if I want to go up this area, it's very easy for me to do it. And notice how it's red, right? Which means that if I have a red gun, then this should be easy. This should be possible for me to do. Right? So just use this. Cubes to move up. And this says some challenges are far harder than they first appear. Right. Because it looks like it's easy to jump up here. Another one is this one. Kind of looks easy to do because it looks like you just need cubes, but then you have to figure out where you can get those cubes, right? Because this room itself only provided one cube, which is to block off that square block. So you have to figure out where to get all these other cubes, and you realize you have to go backwards and try to figure out where you can get cubes in order to go forward, right? And that's why I went to that previous room in order to do that. But yeah, this was a really difficult trial and error for me because I had to figure out which rooms were connected and where I can get other cubes. But then now, since I figured it out, it was easy for me. But that's what you have to do. And this room is also called the Link in the Past. And the reason why it's called the Link in the Past is because, as I mentioned before, you just have to go to a previous room in order to solve this one. Some choices are only useful when we make them. So this one is, yeah, if you remove the green cube, right, the door opens for a little bit. And you notice you've been to this room, this was the chain reaction. And this one was a normal one, right? You get the yellow gun. But this one doesn't help you out because you've already got the yellow gun. And you're supposed to... It's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to not be able to do it until... Actually, you can do it, can't you? I realized it. No. Because you were able to do that. Can you do that beforehand? I think the green gun you can. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. And what I mean by that is you can only use when you have the right gun. I think it's timely to do it. I think that makes sense, right? I think it is possible to do it with the green gun, but it's better to do it when you have the red gun. It shows you why, the lesson, right? It says it's only useful when you don't have the yellow gun. But I think you can do it before. Okay, let's go to the things we can do. All complete. What have I done? The end may come before we were ready to get. Life isn't about getting to the end. Alright, so this one, it just shows you that these two rooms are connected. You just look at this one and let's go. So, at times we need to view the world from someone else's perspective. Okay, I think that's just a... I don't think this does anything. This is supposed to block you from seeing that one. So this is a different room actually. Right? I've already been here before. Where are you? I haven't been here yet though. And that doesn't really help me. This right here. I guess it's telling me I had progressed through a different level, but it's still the same place. Because this doesn't really help. And all I'm doing right now is just reconnecting the dots right now. It's just going through and seeing what are dead ends. Oh, that's a dead end. Let's go through. Let's do this one. Just need to. And I'm just going back to the place where I needed to go before. Because remember, this pathway has two options, either going left or right. And I only went one pathway so far, going the other. I can show you guys again. So from here, I can either go left or right. And I already been right. We already did all the shenanigans, right? All that. Easter egg. So now I'm going left. Let's see what happens when we go left. Needle in a haystack. The more we complete, the harder it is to find what we missed. Oh, the arrow's showing me. I've already been through that. I don't think I've been through it. Taking one path often means missing out on another. I don't get this. You can see here the last one that leads to a different. Oh, that's I think that's an Easter egg room. Yeah, that's an Easter egg room. And I never got what it meant. I still to this day don't know. I'll probably look it up, see what it means. But if you just walk forward and look back again, you end up just being at the end. I'm trying to see. There's still some things I haven't done. So let me check. Completed that. Let's see it. Okay, there's 3 more things. 4. Oh, this one. Okay, if you look at the title of it, you notice that it's not complete, so you try to figure out what you missed. It's called hitting a wall. Okay, so logically, if you don't look down, what you try to do is you try to hit the side, right? And when you hit the side, you end up going down there and trying to solve an attempt to solve that puzzle. You don't want to hit down there. This is pretty hard to do. I don't think there's a good technique. Yeah, so you can see you're jumping off, right? And if you hit that one, then you just go to the door. You can't do anything, right? This is the puzzle, right? The other side's the door that opens the puzzle. You don't really want to go on that side. Oh, okay, I remember this one. Okay. So this one it's this process of eliminating. What I mean by that is you try to see what happens when you move these cubes, right? And you notice that this triggers that door. Okay? But what you try to do at first is you try to use these cubes to fill up. There's 5 cubes, right? So you try to use these 5 cubes to naturally fill the lines, right? To fill these triggers. But the problem is there's 6 triggers. So mathematically you can't do it. And you can't get additional blocks and fill it up. You can't, I mean, you can absorb them, but you can't push in to get more. That's not something you can do, right? So what you have to do is you have to look at this and see what happens when you move these pieces, right? And you notice that this door actually triggers when there's no blocks on these dotted lines, right? That's just something you have to figure out. And you figure that out just by looking at the door itself and noticing it's blue as well. Because if you remember, blue doors open when you take away a cube from the dotted lines, right? And that's something that you may not think about at first, but you later on just realize. You just look at the door and just say, okay, why is that door mostly ready to open when I only fill 2 parts, right? And it's like, oh, it's actually backward, right? Right. Now, the easy part. The easy part is just you just try to break away and split these cubes in order to keep them separated from each other, right? In order to make the door open. And you start from the top because this top part has 2 openings right here, 2 cube openings. And then everything else only has 1 cube opening right here. So these 2 corners, these 3 corners. And then the other parts are dark glass, so you can't really do anything. So what you do is you separate, right? And then you separate and then you maneuver. Right? Separate. Oh, I did it wrong. Separate. Right. Separate. The way to do this, I just maybe you start from here. That's what you do. That's what you do. Okay. So you tried doing the top part. That didn't fail. That didn't work, right? I just failed at doing that. So you try doing it from the bottom. Start from the bottom. So these 2 cubes aren't touching any triggers right now. Any of the line. You have to separate. Oh, that's another feature that I forgot. Okay, so what I did there is you realize that you can't separate 5, right? It's 5 cubes, I believe, right? Into these separate parts. So what you can do though is you can absorb, you can take away one and replace it with another cube.